All attention now turns to who's going to be the new number one for Al-Qaeda. They've issued a statement saying they are in no rush to appoint their new CEO, but will seek an experienced, internationally known figurehead. Joe Torre, the former Yankees and Dodgers boss, has ruled himself out of running for the Al-Qaeda hot seats. He said, "It's not right for me at this stage of my career." Al-Qaeda number 2, Ayman al-Zawahiri, is hotly tipped by the bookies. And, he distanced himself from the previous incumbent, saying, in retrospect, Ozzy was a nightmare boss and his PR skills were at best basic. The England and Wales Cricket Board moved swiftly to tie down their coach, Andy Flower, to a new contract. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out, John.
Yeah. Could be musical chairs around the world to see who is jockeying for that position. But first off, Andy, let's admit, Bin Laden is not going to be easy to replace as head of Al-Qaeda. He is the poster boy of hate. In fact, if Al-Qaeda ever decides to do something like Mount Rushmore, one day we may see Bin Laden's face carved into the side of an Afghanistan mountain before being immediately dynamited by Islamic extremists for being a false idol. And the point, this is certainly going to be a fascinating campaign to watch. So who are the top candidates? Well, as you mentioned, the favourite seems to be Ayman al-Zawahiri, the Egyptian-born surgeon who was Bin Laden's closest lunatic. In many ways, he's the safe choice for Al-Qaeda. He's very much the establishment candidate, years of experience. The concern seems to be that, as they say, he's notoriously lacking in charisma. But when did fronting the most dangerous terrorist organisation in the world have to be about personality, Andy? The fact is, you judge it...
Yeah, symptomatic of everything that's wrong in modern politics.
We've become so shallow with the way that we treat people. The fact is, you judge a terrorist on his record, Andy, and this guy's a serious candidate. His opponents, sure, they might argue that he's made some very big campaign promises that he might struggle to keep. He said recently American streets would run red with blood. Really? All the streets, al-Zawahiri? I've crunched the numbers. I just don't think he can back that claim up. And isn't that exactly the kind of pie-in-the-sky talk that Al-Qaeda needs to move away from? Anyway, candidate number 2, if not al-Zawahiri, likely seems to be Anwar al-Awlaki, an American citizen turned radical cleric living in Yemen who's been placed on the CIA's official shoot-to-kill list, so he's certainly qualified. He's a much younger candidate, Andy. He speaks perfect English. He claims that he can activate the vital younger bloc and encourage them to blow themselves up. Plus, he's American, so it's going to be very hard for people here not to root for him in a way. Look, it's like cross-country skiing at the Olympics. No one cares about it, but if Americans end up paying attention, they'll always end up rooting for the American there anyway. Candidate number 3, Saif al-Adel, seems popular. Another younger man who has always seemed destined for terrible things. In his high school yearbook, he was voted angriest at prom and most likely to go on to run an international terrorist organisation. He made a real stir at his high school by apparently trying to ban the female volleyball team. Now, in terms of outsider candidates who don't have a great deal of momentum to them, CNN were talking yesterday about Abu Ala al-Libi. Now, the first thing to note about him is that he's actually black. Is Al-Qaeda ready for a black leader, Andy? The old guard will say no, but younger people will say that the world is changing and Al-Qaeda has to change with it. Obviously, there are going to be questions around his experience as well. He became famous for escaping from Bagram Air Base, but is that enough? I'm not sure. Maybe in a couple of assassinations' time he'll be ready for the big job. But having said that, let's not rule him out here. Let's not forget another young, charismatic black man with a funny name who no one gave a chance about, who rose to power on a wave of support.
I don't think he should even be considered until he has shown conclusive proof that he was born a terrorist.
And finally, the real outsider candidate seems to be Ilyas Kashmiri. Now, if you've seen any photos of him...
I ate one of those the other day in a Turkish restaurant.
He has an extremely funny, massive beard and sunglasses. So he's already wearing a disguise. And I guess the key questions around him will be, is he ambitious enough? He targeted the Eiffel Tower recently before the plot was discovered, and sure, the Eiffel Tower is a landmark, but it's a very small landmark that doesn't have any people living inside it. It's like targeting the giant donut in Los Angeles. Is he aiming high enough to become leader? Now, CBS did an early poll of who was the front runner in this race. It's been on the news all over here all week about who's going to come up next, and 3% of Afghani said al-Zawahiri, 2% said Anwar al-Awlaki, 4% said bin Laden was still alive, and a whopping 91% said, sorry, I don't have a phone. And a sign of how much this race is hotting up is that there's already some attack ads between the candidates circling. One has a video clip of al-Zawahiri drinking a can of Coke with the VO, Ayman al-Zawahiri says he hates America, but apparently not enough to stop drinking Coca-Cola. Does that sweet infidel sugar water taste good, brother? Al-Zawahiri can't be trusted with a minibar, can't be trusted with Al-Qaeda. Paid for by jihadists for a terrible America.